Good morning, friends. How are you? This is Monday, May 4th, day 25 of the Omer, day 25. I had a lot of trouble coming up with somebody for 25, so I had to go deep in the well. We pulled this out. That's always been my number for my team that I play on, called the Narwhals. Anyway, a little self-serving. What are you going to do? My kids get a kick out of my appreciation of the number 25. I'm not sure why. It goes back a long way. But day 25 of the Omer, just another thing that I miss in all this is my team and the ability to be together with my team. But be that as it may, we are on day 1,070,000 of this craziness. I hope everybody had a good Shabbos. Thank God the weather was beautiful. Hope people were able to get outside and walk around and really soak in the sun. And unfortunately for us in the community, it was a rather sad weekend as we had two losses within the shul family. So first, my condolences to Michael Grad. Michael, whose mother, Roberta, Zichrona Lavracha, she passed away, and the Levaya was yesterday. We sent out the Zoom information for the Shiva. Mind you that Michael just finished his year for his father right on Yom Kippur. So it's especially hard to be right back in the throes of Avelis, of mourning once again. And again, our condolences to the entire family. But we were able to see Michael's mom was here on Purim, and we had the privilege to see her. And also, I was on the Zoom. She had the zechus to see, albeit virtually, but to see her very first great-grandchild, of course, born to Chana and Rabbi a number of weeks ago. And again, we should wish their family only simchas. And yesterday we heard the very, very sad news that Jerry Halpern passed away. Jerry was he was a minion guy. He was just a salt of the earth kind of guy. And one thing that you'll come to learn is that he, as sick as he was, he never let on and he never complained. And maybe, the last few times you saw him in shul, you saw him laboring a bit, but people didn't realize how ill he was. But he loved shul. His father was a rabbi, but he loved our shul in particular, and he loved the people in our shul. And many, many, many times he and I had that conversation about how much he loved and felt at home in our shul. And he will be quite sorely missed. We'll send the Levaya and Shiva information out as we get it. And it was just very, very, very tough because, when we lose one of our own and someone who is so dear to us, it's very, very challenging. So again, I wish to Susan and Nicole and the entire family, they should only have simchas, we should only have good things to celebrate, and you should also just know and keep his memory alive, know what a great, great individual and fine man that he was. Please continue to daven refuah shalema for Ivan Sobel, Mordechai ben Elka, and for Rav Rafal Zev ben Rickel. The third name that we had been saying in the last number of weeks, that was for Michael's mother. So I always find one of the hardest things when you hear that someone passes away is to change your davening, because it almost becomes part of the automatic and the Mishaberach parts, and to not say someone's name, or you catch yourself saying a name and it just kind of jolts you. But again, let's please daven for refuah shalema and for all those who need. So it's Monday and the kids are back in school, sort of at the computer, and I'm a little depressed because of the news over the weekend, so I'm going to read a very depressing Mishna. But it's a very important Mishna. We're in chapter 3 of Perek Avos, and this week I've chosen to study from this version, Rabbi Lau. Of course, we all know Rabbi Lau. Rabbi Lau, I'll tell you a good Rabbi Lau story. I have this picture. I'm sure everybody knows Rabbi Kanelsky. So I have this picture that's on my desk with Rabbi Kanelsky and Rabbi Lau and me. And when Rabbi Kanelsky sent me this picture, I met Rabbi Lau a number of times, but I have a couple of good Rabbi Lau stories. But Rabbi Lau, when Rabbi Kanelsky sent me this picture, I sent it to my wife, and she was traveling to work on the bus. She was sitting with somebody that she knows, and she showed the picture, and the person said to my wife, "Which one is your husband?" So I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, Rabbi Lau has this beautiful 3-volume set on Perek Avos, and this week we read chapter 3. So I'm going to begin with the very first Mishnah in chapter 3. Akavya b'mahalalel omer. He says, if you look carefully at 3 things, you will not fall into the hands of sin. this pattern of threes that we've seen, we saw al shlosha dvarim ha'olam omeid, etc., etc. Da me'ayin basa la'ana taholech lifnei mi'ata asid litein din v'cheshbon. Know where you come from, know where you're going, and know before whom you will have to give judgment and reckoning. The Mishna then goes on, and this is one of the questions of all the Mefarshim. If it says three things, why does it have to go and now explain again? Me'ayin basa metipa srucha. Where do you come from? A putrid drop. La'ana taholech limkom afar rima v'toleya. Where are you going? You're going to end up in a place of dirt, worms, and maggots. How you doing? And in front of whom are you going to give the ultimate judgment? In front of the King of Kings, of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is a very sobering Mishnah, that if a person would always think, always think, well, I came from nothing, I'm heading nowhere, and I have to give judgment, then I would never sin. Well, I mean, I'm not sure that the Torah wants us to live in this constant fear. There's a way that people are raised in which there's this constant fear and guilt cycle, fear and guilt. I don't think that's what the Torah has in mind for us. But I think that when we have a sort of this overarching consciousness of understanding of where we fit into the larger picture, I think that's something that can sort of keep us in check. Now, I want to share with you one aspect of what Rabbi Lau points out, where he finds what he calls allusions in the Chumash. There are biblical allusions to this Mishnah. And he says as follows. And he quotes from Shmelka Horowitz of Nikolsburg, the Nikolsburger Rebbe. And he says that the word Uri Isem, because the Mishnah says that if you look at three things, histakel b'shlosha dvarim. If you look at three things, so he make a play on the words histakel urisem. 3 times the word urisem is mentioned in the Torah. First, it says when Paro is looking after the midwives who are delivering Jewish babies, and it says urisem alahav nayim. When you help the Jewish women give birth, look at the birth stool. And then when Moshe Rabbeinu, we're going to read it in a few weeks, maybe we'll be back in shul, who knows, we'll read the story of the spies, it says, Ru'isem esa aretz mahi, and then when we read the parsha of tzitzis, which we say every day, we say, U'isem oso zchartem. We look at the tzitzis, we look at the techeles, and we remember them. So he says as follows, look at the birth stool means, know what you were before you were born, know where you came from. That's the first part of the Mishnah. The second part, go check out the land of Israel. Look at the land means that we must always remember that ultimately we shall lie beneath the earth. And finally, Uri'isem also, look at it, look at the Techeles, means that we should look at all the mitzvos and bear in mind that we will have to give a judgment and reckoning before the King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed is He. I think it's a beautiful interpretation of finding a sort of a source in this Mishnah, but we always have this ongoing, again, this consciousness and this cognizance that, where we came from, where we're going, and I think we could use that certainly in a historical sense, is that if we don't know where we came from, and we don't know the direction in which we're going, then we'll never know what the purpose is in terms of what we're giving din v'cheshbon. But I've thought of this Mishnah because when I think of Jerry Halpern, it's hard for me to speak of him in the past tense, Zichrono Livracha. Jerry was someone who was very, very much aware of where he came from. He was very much aware of where he was going, and he always had proper reckoning with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He knew what this illness meant and what it was doing to him, but yet he never wavered for 1 second. He never stopped trying. He never stopped fighting, and certainly he never stopped worrying about his family and those around him, trying not to burden anyone. And he always tried his best to come to shul, because that was his comfort place. That was his place where he felt that he was at one with God. And even if he only could make it for a few minutes a day, and people don't realize how much he was suffering, but what it meant to him. So if we keep these things in mind, and may his neshama have an aliyah. Yosef Asher ben Harav Moshe Shlomo Zichrono Livracha. And may we only have good occasions to celebrate. May we always have the proper perspective. And let us all have a really great, fantastic week.